Heather Cooper Burns. This is an old, lost and found framed poster, fallen a bit behind the mat. A poster of a beautiful painting, a painting by Heather Cooper Burns. Well, at least I know her as Heather Cooper Burns. She seems to be known as just Heather Cooper now. The link to her website is in the description below. I found this on the side of the road, 100 meters or so from the beach and right across the street from my cabina. In front of a home of a woman I knew. She wasn't living there anymore, and renters, I thought, had moved in and obviously removed the picture and dumped it on the side of the road for me to discover. It couldn't have been there for very long at all, but I grabbed it and I couldn't help it. It rocked me from my core and immediately evoked feelings from the pit of my stomach at the time. Heather Cooper Burns is a Canadian celebrity and a well-known artist who lived in my stomping grounds when I grew up. Downtown Toronto, Yonge and Bloor, and all the way to the west of the Annex, up to Davenport, including Yorkville and Rosedale, and all the University of Toronto property, and down here on street to the tip of Chinatown. I know it all like the back of my hand. She lived above Rosedale, above Davenport, one street above the train tracks into Summerhill. I know because I was there just a few memorable times. Her house was like mine, an old Victorian-style downtown semi-detached home, but hers had been gutted. In the 80s, this was a trend, to gut out homes and change the interior, but she was on the brink of a new modern age of interior design and renovation. The outside brick had been sandblasted and made to look new and bright, and the interior was inspiring and overwhelming. She created the beaver for a well-known consumer brand icon called Roots Canada. Roots to this day uses the beaver on all their accessories and apparel. Her daughter was my age, and she went to one of the inner-city schools that I was well socialized with. We would get together in crowds and bunches of us from several urban schools and parks at someone's home for large house parties and stuff. Clubs and frat parties were, of course, in the hood, too. A few times, Sarah, her daughter, had a party at her home, and I went, and I never forgot it. If you don't know, Victorian semi-detached downtown Toronto homes are all laid out the same way. They are brick with wooden floors, thin and tall with really high ceilings. And when you walk in, the stairs to the second floor face you, and to the side there's a living room, and behind the living room is the dining room. And down the hall, beyond the dining room, just behind the dining room, is the kitchen that leads outside to the backyard. In this house, her entire first floor was open, and floating stairs rose up into the opening of the canopy above. She had tiled oddly and strangely, and extremely dominating black and white squares, diagonally patterned checkboard ceramic floor. The ceramic was cold and odd for Toronto. It was distracting and opposing and mad, and created some sort of optical illusion. What it most opposed was this claustrophobic, encroaching foliage and ornate painting covering every square inch of this place. The walls and the ceiling were covered in jungle and river and sky. Hidden animals were everywhere you looked, looking right back at you. There was absolutely no furniture other than a twin-arm delicate seat for two, like a little love seat, a wooden chair, daintily carved, and a fairly large clover-shaped white ceramic fountain, smack dab in the middle of the room. In the center of the fountain was a statue of a small fairy boy spewing water from his penis. We spent time drinking and dancing and admiring the unique walls that surrounded us, some of us admiring it more than others. I mean, we were 15 years old and all. So 25 years later, coming from the beach with my dog in this small Costa Rican town, stumbling upon this was a jolt of memories and mixing memories and desires. I didn't want it to be a stolen item, so I asked around to find out if it was thrown out by a renter or by her newest and soon-to-be angry ex-husband, who I actually, ironically and tragically thereafter became friends with. As I needed a person to talk to about my pain of a failed relationship, and he too needed to voice his problems with his wife, the owner of the house. More ironically, he became friends with the guy who was my failed relationship. She left the son to recover from her bad romantic choices and sold her property, never to return. And I'm left remaining with this dream, with this painting. Now, the couple takes its rightful place in the sun.